to go?
Yep.
3, 2, and we're live.
Alrighty. My name's Tiger,
I'm Tyson.
I'm Riley.
and we're going to be talking about Oakland police and community relations, racial profiling.
Okay, our topic is Oakland Police Department and the disparity and marginalization of minority groups. So some background information. The Oakland Police Department is a law enforcement agency created in 1853. In 2003, things took a drastic turn for the officers and administration of the Oakland Police Department. 119 people stepped forward filing a federal lawsuit against 4 Oakland police officers. These people claimed that 4 police officers, who they called the rioters, were guilty of civil rights violations. In between the years of 1996 and 2000, the officers are responsible for planting evidence, false arrests, assault, battery, and the excessive use of force. The veteran officers Frank, Clarence, Jude, and Matthew's actions were brought to light by another Oakland police officer, Keith Batt. After their actions were brought to light, all of the men were first placed on administrative leave, only to be eventually fired and prosecuted for their misconduct. The trial against Oakland Police Department lasted for 3 years, and as a result, the Oakland Police Department was found guilty and had to pay out nearly $11 million. This payout number would have been higher if the department had not agreed to go sign a negotiated settlement agreement. And the city of Oakland agreed to 51 terms of reform to be completed within 5 years. The judge of the case, Dalton Henderson, was to oversee the case and monitor the compliance. To be seen as in compliance with the reforms, the Oakland Police Department must make these reforms a part of their daily lives. Over the years, the Oakland Police Department has received multiple deadlines in order to complete these tasks, even dropping the number of tasks to 22. In 2016, the oversight that was supposed to last for 7 years max had turned into an almost 13 years of monitoring with almost $14 million spent. The terms of reform fall under the 5 categories of accountability, supervision, training, management oversight, and transparency. Over the years, Oakland Police Department has been meeting the tasks and regaining financial footing in an effort to put their money back into the department to receive the best results. Although taking an overextended amount of time, the Oakland Police Department has been making progress in rebuilding the department and its credibility for their citizens.
And the accusations of Oakland PD racially profiling. So for over 15 years, Oakland PD has been flagged and under federal oversight of police abuse and racial profiling scandals. Despite more data available to the public, no real change has taken place. And with the analysis of body cam tapes, it showed that officers did not show respect to blacks as they would to whites. And this is a chart showing the statistics of police stops and searches. And so as you can tell, the African-American statistic, it's over 9,000 for stops for questioning. And for the stops for searches is over 3,700 as compared to Asian being usually at the lowest. And going on field, I spoke with a very respected colleague of mine. Her name is Tonya Foster. I call her Tony. She's an African-American woman, and she's witnessed firsthand and experienced firsthand of the injustices and disparities of a racially biased law enforcement, as well as her children. She also said that this issue is not exclusive to Oakland PD, and as a San Jose resident, she has been a victim of racial profiling. So, for example, when she was stopped, a question she was asked was, "So when was the last time you were arrested?" That's something not commonly asked during a stop. And she's been pulled over and spoken harshly by law enforcement numerous times just for her skin color and the fact that she drives a Mercedes-Benz. She admitted that people feel that it's because they think she's either a drug dealer or that she stole that car. And she's told me that she's educated her children to always be respectful and to accept the biased perspectives of law enforcement because she'd rather have them come home safely versus any worse alternative directions they may lead to. And she said this was common amongst African-American families with the adult teaching their kids how to, behave themselves and do this and that in front of law enforcement. And I asked for her personal perspectives of resolving racial profiling, and she said, based upon her intuition and perspectives of the issue, Law enforcement should be better trained and educated in order to better communicate with the community and have a connection with the people. Implementation of a program for the issue of racial profiling. Having more law enforcement do foot patrols, because not only would it have her feel more comfortable, but the community to be more comfortable of law enforcement and trusting of law enforcement, because it is difficult to serve and protect the people when the people don't even trust their own law enforcement agency. And tying in with the text, Petrocelli, Picaro, and Smith, they did an analysis of police practices of data collected from a single city to determine how the neighborhood context can influence police behavior. The statistics show that stops were more frequent amongst blacks, and especially in black neighborhoods, with neighborhood demographics and social economic characteristics relevant to the arrest, stop, and search made by police. Two possible factors for this are to be determined as ecological bias, or officers being more likely to search African Americans based upon general perceptions or stereotypes.
So how should we resolve racial profiling? First, we can limit police discretion. Police officers have remarkably high discretion in who they can choose to stop and search. High discretion invites decisions made under high uncertainty and breeds an environment where racial bias motivates a stop. We'd also set higher and clearer thresholds for reasonable suspicion. High discretion almost necessitates that judgments will be influenced more by cognitive shortcuts like racial stereotypes. Setting higher and clearer thresholds would restrain officers from making fewer and more justified stops. Consequently, this would reduce racial disparities in who gets stopped initially. It's also possible to replace wide discretion of officers with prescriptive guidance. Now, what is prescriptive guidance? Prescriptive guidance is based on factors accounted for in empirical analysis where specific behaviors which are known to be reliably related to criminal behaviors are studied. This worked wonders in the past. In 1998, the Commissioner of U.S. Customs directed federal agents to use 6 behavioral indicators of suspiciousness as a guide for stops and searches. This resulted in a 75% reduction in searches, but the contraband findings quadrupled. As a result, racial disparities in search rates were reduced, and the number of contraband found was almost roughly the equivalent to when the behavioral indicators were not being used as a guide. So, implicit biases. Research has yet to uncover a straightforward method that can lastingly mitigate implicit biases. Implicit stereotypes are formed and reinforced by media representations that pair certain demographic characteristics with certain roles in our society. Consequently, society is exposed to misleading biases and information about their own community, which prevents the achievement of lasting reduction of biases. So finally, I'm going to talk about the detrimental effects of limiting discretion. Limiting the discretion of law enforcement officers may have a lasting reducing effect on racial biases, but limiting discretion is ultimately stripping patrol officers' powers. Many will dispute limiting discretion as it may jeopardize safety in return for the reduction of racial bias. However, if law enforcement can learn to utilize prescriptive guidance instead of wide discretion, safety should as a result not be in jeopardy.
And these were my references and my sources. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I feel like maybe not in our generation, the issue of racial profiling will end, but I feel if the solutions and the steps necessary are taken, I feel that potentially the next generation, this issue will be resolved.
Cool.
All right, that's it. The end.
Oh yeah. So I think all of our sources are included in this reference page as well, not just Tyson's. So yeah, thank you.
All righty. Okay.
Stop the recording first, probably.